Hey guys, Stealth here and welcome back to Stormworks. It's episode 9 and a lot has changed since I was last recording these Arctic campaign episodes. For one, they changed the way that electricity is generated. Generators are now far less powerful, and as such, the whole setup that I had for the Ice Dart, which is the boat that I used earlier in the campaign, well, it doesn't quite work anymore, because if I sit down, the engine can't start up. Because currently I don't have the generator power, or rather my generator is so heavy that the engine just won't start. So I'm going to have to overhaul the Ice Dart and allow it to actually get moving again. Because we are currently asked to respond to a mining drill explosion. This happened in the Arctic mainland, or off the coast of the Arctic mainland over there. It's a mining drill which has exploded and caused a fire, but the full extent of the damage is unknown. Now, I don't really have any firefighting equipment on this particular ship, nor can I get the ship close enough, nor do I get a vehicle close enough. I don't have any way of putting out the fire, but what I can do is respond. I can at least go there and see what I can do. For that, though, we're going to have to change the way that the ship is designed. And instead of having all these generators on here, which are powered by the diesels, or by the engines rather, I'm going to have to go for a direct drive system, which means power the props directly from the engines. So it's going to be quite a bit of destruction of the ship, or at least partially, because all of these things are no longer required. I believe that this is the starter motor. I can get rid of that. I can get rid of all the gearboxes. This is a electric motor. I don't need that one anymore. There, that should clean things up pretty nicely. This is also going to go away. These are the 4 electric motors that are currently driving the ship. But since the electric motors are now far more power hungry than they once were, that system doesn't work anymore either. So what I'm going to have to do is just set up a couple of gearboxes and make sure that each engine drives one prop. That I have found to be a pretty decent way of doing business. Okay, make sure these are oriented towards the engine, otherwise you're not really getting the right way of propulsion. I want to have 3 gearboxes, for the reason that one is going to be always on, the second one is a sort of speed up mode, and the last one is there to do reverse mode. Next, a couple of pipes, bringing this thing back down. Like that, and just to be on the safe side, I want to split off with a pipe here and install just one generator, so that even if I'm not actually no, not here, even if I'm not going to be sending the power to the engines through the clutch, which I'm about to deploy, I can still generate power. So if the engine is moving, or if the engine is operating and I'm stationary, I can still use that system to generate some power. Won't be a lot, but then again, I'm no longer fully relying on power systems, at least not electric power. Let's see, squeeze this pipe in here. And that is basically all that I need to do. Now, just to be on the safe side, this is adding all the batteries. This is the automatic start. I'm going to remove that. This one was adding up the batteries. I don't really need 4 batteries anymore. So I'm going to go with 2, and I believe I have an X2 battery, or at least an X2 microcontroller for fuel, but I can adjust that. Normally this takes a formula of X plus Y, that's enough, but now I want to add another function for that. Otherwise I won't really get a good read on what sort of power I currently have available. So this one goes there and that one goes there, and this is X divided by 2. Times 100. So this one first, and then the times 100. So it outputs a percentage. Update, done. Right. The fuel tanks are still being added up by this microcontroller, so that works. Now I just need to overhaul the cockpit controls a little, because some of these things will have changed. These things still work. We still got the spotlights, we still got the lights on the sides. But what I now need is a throttle, because I'm manually going to have to throttle the engine up and down. like that. Actually, I could just use mirror mode for this, because I'm going to need 2 of them anyway. This display was, I believe, fuel? No, battery status. The battery status doesn't really need that much of a display anymore. I can simply go with a dial that indicates how much battery power I actually have left. So this one takes the addition from that. This is one battery and that's the other battery. Okay, and this one can go from 0 to 1. And that is battery percentage. Or rather, officially 0 to 100. Okay, so that's done. Now, this one is going to go to throttling the engines. So that's engine 1 and engine 2. And I want these clutches to be bound to the other. I have tried to use a button for this, but what I found to happen is that if you suddenly trigger the clutch and your boat is stationary, the whole ship will just, or the engine rather, will stall. It simply doesn't work. Reason being, you're suddenly transferring so much power to the engine onto a stationary, or well, mostly stationary ship or stationary prop, that it just doesn't have enough power to get moving. Okay, a couple of toggle buttons then. That's going to be... Where can I fit these actually? One there, and one here. This is reverse. So this one goes to the last gearboxes. And those gearboxes are going to be set up in a 1 to -1 operating. These... Actually, I only need one button. There. And actually, I might not even need that. What I'm thinking is that I can bind a microcontroller to say that, hey, if my throttle is, or if my clutch is this much, then I want you to enable that gear. Yeah, let's do that. That's fairly easy to make. So, microcontroller. New one. I'm going to have one input node. That's going to be a number, because this is the clutch, or rather the clutch throttle. And one output. And the output is going to indicate whether Gearbox is engaged or not. I can make that thing a little smaller. And this is really a very simple system, because all I need is a threshold. A threshold outputs an on-off signal, indicating whether the input value is within a set threshold, yes or no. Now, in English, that means that if I send a clutch throttle signal, which is, let's say, higher than 0.5, then I want you to enable the gearbox. So the low point is 0.5 and the high point is 1. By doing it this way, the second gearbox is automatically going to be enabled if I provide full power. Otherwise, it's not going to be enabled and the ship will be operating pretty slowly. Now let's give this thing a name. Oh, cancel that. This is the auto gear up, or auto gearing up rather. Symbol for that, I don't know. We can make it AG, I guess. How do you draw a G? Something like this? There. Beautiful. I'm gonna go with that. Auto gearing up. And here is my new microcontroller. The more you automate on ships, the easier your life becomes. This is going to go to both of these new gearboxes. So that one and that one. And I want these to always be active. Oh, sorry. I'm looking at this thing in reverse now. Let's see. I sent this to that. Yeah, that's fine. I want these... Hang on. Yeah, these are my reverse gearboxes. These are going to switch on or off. So the middle ones. And these I always want to have in a, let's say, 9 to 5 configuration. So we're always going to be generating quite a bit more power thanks to those props. Okay. The input signal is going to come from this one. So the clutch not only indicates the clutch pressure, but also the clutch for the auto gear up feature. Okay, now I need to rewire the electrics, because I did quite a bit of overhauling of the whole system, so none of these things are going to be connected anymore, or at least not the new parts. Connect that to the engine, connect that to the battery, gearbox, engine, and the whole control system. These things will need to be hooked up, otherwise I don't have any power. Spotlight on the bow. Lights on the stern are currently not connected. I think that should about cover it. Yeah, that should do it. Okay, this is the Ice Dart. As you can see, I've built quite a few ships since then. I do need one more button, come to think of it. I need a push button to start up my engine. Or engines, rather. This one connected, and it goes to here and there. So this is engine start, and this is engine throttle. And this button was not doing anything because I'm in mirror mode. Ah, that's why I added it. So you can get out. Alright, let's see if it works. Let's see if it works. Unfortunately, I still don't have a speed sensor, so I won't be able to tell how fast I'm going. But if the ship actually decides to go in the first place, that would be a victory. Alright, a bit of throttle. Ah, the throttle is not actually generating or getting power. Did I forget part of the electrics? No, actually. But for some reason this thing is... Ah, there's the disconnect. There is the disconnect. That was my problem. Save it again. I start. Spawn it in. Throttle up. We got the 2 RPS indicators, which are still good. Engines are operational. And now my throttle lever doesn't work. Why don't you work? Because you're not connected either. Fair enough. Let's try this again. There's always something that you're forgetting when you're building one of these boats. It's always something. So, power. Throttle. I am generating some power, but the throttle is barely... There we go. We're underway. Although RPS is really low at the moment. So let's send throttle to full. And we can get going. Fuel is good, although we are draining fuel a hell of a lot faster than we normally would be, because my RPS is quite a bit higher than it normally would be. Battery power is at 100. Now, I want this thing to go faster. One of the problems that I currently have is that my props are too low. They're too low in the, or rather too high in the water. So I'm going to have to reduce the height of those things a little bit and make sure they're in this column. Because as it stands, the ship doesn't really work as well as I would like it to. If I'm adjusting it anyway, I could turn it into a hydrofoil. For those of you not familiar with the term, a hydrofoil is a boat that gets, well, sort of pushed out of the water thanks to a fin in the front. And thanks to that fin, you're going to be able to go a hell of a lot faster. Unfortunately, I don't really have any systems that can actually push it out of the water or give me the option about whether it is active or not. So we're just going to have to go with a slightly less pretty setup, which does work. And that's the fin rudders. Make sure that these are pushing down. This will make the boat slightly wider, and depending on how well it actually, or well, how fast it's going to go, it might flip over. I'm going to make this thing slightly longer in the stern. Not like that though, I want it to go further down. Come on. Yeah, the game doesn't like that. Let's see, this should work. And make it slightly wider here. We're also going to need fins up here, otherwise it won't work. I want the front to be out of the water a little bit more than the stern, but this is not enough yet. I'm going to have to make it a little taller. Of course, doing something like this also increases the draft of your ship, so be careful what you wish for. Because if you do this too much, you're going to find that some areas of the map are suddenly inaccessible. Because your ship is suddenly too big. I might be able to fit these fins on here. Yep. And then I want my props to be sitting over here. Like that. Actually, does that work? No, the fins need to be higher than the props. Otherwise, you're going to run into trouble. It's been a while since I actually built a hydrofoil. I know that they work, but they can be a little finicky to get working. Okay, now I need a pipe to connect these things back to the engine again. So we're going to go up. We're going to have to cut another hole in the deck here. There, that's where the pipe needs to come up. And now we just need to connect this to the clutch. Tidy up the ship here. So this one's going to be an angled one, this one's going to be an angled one, and this one's going to be a straight pipe. There. Now you have a hydrofoil. Let's see if I can tidy this thing up a little, because currently I don't really like the way it looks. Let's go with one of those. You also got to be careful not to add too much weight over here, or you're going to find that your boat is not going to like it too much. There. Tidy this up a little. Now we have a potentially working hydrofoil. I just have to add these things to the electric system, because these will have to be adjusted. Otherwise they don't actually do anything. So a couple of here. And we can tie these in as well. Now there is one other thing that I need to do, and that is to add another couple of rudders down here. If I don't add rudders that low, the ship won't steer. Because the rudder up here will be pretty high up out of the water. So it won't actually do much. And I gotta make sure that these are not in mirror mode. Okay, again, make sure that these get power. And make sure that they get a direction from A and D. That's that one and that one. And the up and down on the hydrofoils, I'm going to be controlling with the up and down key. So this thing is going to be taken off of the, what was it? I think the correction system that allows my boat to get upright. I don't expect to need that right now. It is set to sticky. Alright, I'm going to make this the Ice Dar Hydro to make sure it's an actual hydrofoil. And that I don't accidentally overwrite the original ship. Okay, here goes. Throttle, start your engines. Throttle to full. Whoa, 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 whoa. Not too fast. Okay, right now you can already see that the bow is coming out of the water. And I'm really not going that fast yet. Now I'm going to add the hydrofoils. That was a bit much. There we go. Now we're out of the water. And now we're going to be pretty damn fast because your water resistance is suddenly a hell of a lot less. I think I got everything I need on this boat. Jesus, this thing is going to be eating fuel. Yeah, I'm going to have to do something about that gearbox. Also, if you're in full hydrofoil mode, as you can see, the ship has a hell of a long steering circle. Its turning circle just got pretty bad. And another fun thing that you can do with these, you can turn it into a submarine. It's not supposed to do it, but it can do it. Unfortunately, that will drown out your engines. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. Now my RPS is too high because I'm burning through my fuel way too quickly, so I'm going to have to adjust one of the gearboxes. So I'll go back to port one more time, fix that gearbox, and then we're going to go on the mission with our new fast ship. Unfortunately, I still cannot tell you how fast we're actually going. We still don't have a speed sensor, and I don't really know which research unlocks that. The thing I got to adjust is the gearboxes, which are always on. Switch those to a 5 to 2 setup. Now, what do I need to get speed sensors? Not this. Nope. It's not under helicopters either. Firefighting equipment, power. Altimeter. Here. Basic sensors. It's only one research point, but at this point I really want to know how fast my ship's going to be going. So I'm going to start the research, but I cannot actually get that thing done right now before I have to go on the mission. Because we got to get to where we need to be in 50 minutes. And it is still a pretty long way out. Alright, 7.8 clicks. Let's see how fast we can get there. Throttle to full. Activate the hydrofoils. And we're out of the water. And this is why I had those props so low, because now you can see that the props are still in the water, the rudders are still in the water, and allow my boat to turn pretty quick. But the problem is that with this you're getting quite a bit of RPS. And one of the things that the new update also did is change the way that the engines work. In the sense that normally you would have quite a bit of RPS, quite a bit of power. And right now you can see that I just don't have enough power. They changed the torque point, I think. And now my ship's actually getting slower rather than faster. Yeah, I don't like the way that the ship is behaving currently. I mean, I do like... you can jump out of the water like that, thanks to the hydrofoils. But it's a bit much. And rather than getting to where you need to be faster, thanks to that gearbox change, I'm now no longer having enough RPS or torque to get there. So, it's back to the workbench one last time. Reset those changes. And hope that I have enough fuel to get to where I need to be. And I might also make a change that automatically triggers the hydrofoils on or off. Okay. Cancel that gearbox change. So again, 9 to 5. And let's go with a small microcontroller. So logic. Input is toggle hydrofoils. So it's going to be a standard toggle button. And then I want an output, a number output. This is going to be the hydrofoil setting. That's all that this microcontroller will need to do. Now, it's a switch box. That's what I need. If the switch box is not enabled, so in the off mode, I want to have a constant number that says 0. Basically means don't do anything. Don't send any signal or any up elevation to the hydrofoils. If it's on, I want it to be... let's make it 8 degrees. And this might not look like a lot, but it is enough. Oh, and I think I need to rename it. This is toggle hydrofoils. Oops, not that. Toggle hydrofoils. There. Delete it. Get it in the boat. Toggle hydrofoils. The output goes to the fins, which I now have set to the up and down button. And that means we're just going to have to add another toggle button. Make sure that the toggle button also gets power. Like that. I really hope that we have enough fuel to get there. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty shitty. Okay. Let me start your engines. You may throttle up. Throttle to full. Or rather, clutch to full. Toggle the hydrofoils. There we go. Hydrofoils working. Okay, time to go on the mission. But I'm going to be doing that in the next episode. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you have any questions about how to build the hydrofoil, what particular steps I took, if that's not entirely clear from the vid. And I'll be happy to help you out with that. Anyway, I'll see you next week for the next Stormworks episode.